I am Emperor Cole, and this is Emperor Cole Film Review, brought to you by MindBenderENT.com. And today I'm here to review Captain Marvel. Now this one is going to be my spoiler review, where I'm going to speak about specifics in the film as if you've actually seen the movie. If you haven't seen it, go check it out first before you watch this review. For everyone else, let's get ready to take this journey together. Let's go higher, further, and faster. Let's do it. On how Captain Marvel got her powers, I thought was a little bit wonky. And what I mean by that is he shoots this engine, which is of course this thing that Marvel built, which is powered by ultimately the Tesseract. She shoots this thing, it blows up and explodes, and somehow she's able to absorb the energy source and it gives her these powers. Now the crazy thing about this is Young Rod, that's Jude Law's character, he was pretty much in close proximity to this engine as well when it blew up. So why didn't he absorb any of the powers? Kind of a little strange. And at the same time, all we know of Carol Danvers is that she's a regular human being. So shouldn't this much energy, this much force, this much power in this explosion, shouldn't it have actually killed her or at least come close to killing her? Instead of just actually going to her body and completely changing her. So that was something that I thought was a little bit weird. Captain Marvel is captured by the actual Skrulls, and they have her like laid out on that table where they have the brain probe going through her mind, and they're looking through her memories trying to find maybe some type of Kree military secrets, and they're going back through her mind and her memory, and instead of seeing Kree warrior type stuff, they're seeing regular stuff from an Air Force pilot on planet Earth. And you hear Ben Mendelsohn's character where he's kind of doing the voiceover, they're pausing different memories and jumping to different points in her mind, and he's like, whoa, this can't be right, because of course, he's seeing memories of Earth and he's not seeing Kree things. So I like the way they did that. I thought it was a very unique thing in the way they did it. Another thing that I enjoyed about this movie is the fact that we get a very different Nick Fury. This movie is set in 1995, so of course at this point Nick Fury is not the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. We have him where he's much more young, he's much more vibrant. This version of Nick Fury is cracking jokes, he has much more humor to him, and the chemistry between him and Carol Danvers I thought was very good. It was really solid for what could have made for a buddy cop type experience, so that was something I thought they did well. And I like the fact that this movie is also illustrating how the job of being a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and becoming the director, how it's affected him over the years. This version of him, he's jokey, he's light humor, and of course when we see him later on in the MCU, he's much more serious, he's much more fierce and hardened, where you can tell the job has hardened him and it's basically changed him at the core of who he is as a person. So I like that we got that juxtaposition in this actual film. Almost like the way where you see when a person's campaigning to become the president of the United States, and then 4, 5, 8 years later, you see what they look like at the end of their term. They look much more worn and beat down, and like having all that responsibility has completely changed them. It's really taken its effect on them. Same thing with Nick Fury. One scene and one thing that I did not like at all was the explanation on how Nick Fury lost his eye. The cat scratching his eye out I thought was absolutely terrible. In the Ultimate Comics, Nick Fury loses his eye, I believe, when a grenade goes off in the Gulf War. That's heroic. That's something that's intense. That's something that would fit somebody who was a soldier and is now the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., this super secret agency, and yada, yada, yada. So for a cat to scratch his eye, I thought was absolutely terrible. For example, in Captain America Winter Soldier, there's that dramatic scene where he says, the last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. That calls for something dramatic to actually happen in this film. There needs to be like some kind of a crazy betrayal or something of that nature that shows how he loses this eye. To have it actually just be the cat scratching it out on some old, he got too friendly with this cat thing, it was just that was terrible. That was absolutely horrible. Now, if you're a hardcore Marvel MCU fan like myself, you've seen all the Marvel movies and you remember a lot of the more pertinent things about each of these films. So now this movie, Captain Marvel, has some things that are a direct contradiction to stuff that was particularly already established. For example, the Tesseract. The Tesseract, initially in that scene where Nick Fury is talking with Captain America, where Captain America's hitting the punching bag, and he comes in and he gives him the mission, and he says to him, are you trying to get me back in the world? And he says, no, I'm trying to save it. And he hands him the folder, and there it is, the Tesseract. And he looks at it and says, this is, Hydra's secret weapon. And he says to him, Howard Stark fished this out of the Atlantic Ocean when he was looking for you. So if Howard Stark found this thing in the Atlantic Ocean back in the 50s or 60s, how does Captain Marvel, or excuse me, Marvel, Annette Bening's character, how does she end up with it in this secret lab where she's creating this engine, and Fury and Shield don't know about it? So right there, you see how that's a huge contradiction? In Avengers, when Tony Stark uses his computer to hack into Shield's computers, and he confronts Nick Fury and he says, "Why is Shield using the Tesseract to make weapons of mass destruction?" And then Fury points to Thor and says, "Because of him." And he says, "Because of him, we found out we were hilariously outgunned." You know, so that basically is saying that this was our first introduction to beings who were not from Earth, not from our realm, not from our planet. So we realized that we had to do something to try to catch up in case there was any type of a war or invasion. But since Captain Marvel takes place in 1995, Fury was already aware of the Kree and the Skrulls. He had already come in contact with their technology. He knew they existed. So I don't believe that Nick Fury would be able to keep all this information to himself. And the fact that he wrote he started writing the Protector initiative, and he changed it to the Avenger initiative when he saw the words written on Carol Danvers' airplane. Like, he already had this knowledge. He knew about this already. So, of course, in the SHIELD training manual, with some of the agents, as they were farther up the ranks, he had to let them know about the Kree and the Skrulls, right? They had to know these beings already existed. So the fact that he started to create this Avenger initiative means that they started to try to put some kind of preparation in place, because in case there was any type of an alien event or anything of that nature. So just like in Avengers, when Black Widow says, she says to, I believe, Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, she says to him, "This is God's," and Loki and Thor says, "This is stuff we could never known about. This stuff we could never prepare for this." That's wrong, because Fury already knew. And the people who were above Fury, who showed up on those TV screens when they wanted to nuke Manhattan, of course, these people had to know about the Kree and Skrulls already too, right? So why wasn't this information disseminated and passed down to the rest of the SHIELD agents? So that's a huge continuity error. And given the fact that the MCU movies all work together like this giant tapestry, that's something that should have been caught in the actual production phases of this actual film. So this is, like I said, it's a little bit of a misstep by Marvel, because of course, all the MCU movies go together. They all work as one giant timeline for the actual film and the story. So the fact that that wasn't actually pointed out and wasn't changed before the filming actually started, that kind of makes it feel like this movie was made by writers and directors who did not watch all of the previous MCU movies, who did not quite understand the story. So although a good film, that's a huge problem that I found. I thought Ben Mendelsohn, playing the role of the Skrull leader Talos, had a great performance in this actual film. Of course, in the beginning of the movie, he starts out as this sinister bad guy, and you're thinking the Skrulls are shape-shifting and all that good stuff, so they must be evil, right? So when they are at Maria Rambeau's house in Louisiana, and he confronts Captain Marvel, and he plays back that recording from her that came from her black box when her actual airplane crashed, and you find out that the Skrulls are only planted as the actual bad guys because they rejected the Kree ruling over them and being their rulers and trying to enforce their way of life on them. So the movie definitely takes a hard political turn at that point. I understand why they did it, and it was very clever to add that twist. But at the same time, now you find out the Skrulls are basically refugees. They're on the run, and there's even a point where Young Rob, that's Jude Law's character, where they're having a battle, and he says something to the effect of, "Oh, we have to make sure we protect the Kree borders from the Skrulls." So, of course, with all the things with immigration and the borders in Mexico and the United States, I don't even have to get into all that political stuff, but you know where that comes from. Like I said, it was very clever that they decided to add this stuff into this movie and put that twist. But now the Skrulls become this weak race of aliens who aren't strong enough to go toe-to-toe and stand up to the actual Kree. In the comic books, this actual Kree-Skrull war has been going on for thousands of years. So, of course, one side can't be running from the other side for thousands of years. They got to have be technologically advanced to be able to stand up to them. They have to have a home world on which to actually operate from. So the fact that they kind of completely changed that in this movie was something that I didn't think was a very good idea. So I enjoyed the character, but I will say that they may have made this character too strong. What do I mean? There's a scene where she actually finds out that she can fly when she's falling, and next thing you know, she powers up and she starts flying throughout the sky, and it's like, wow. And I believe Nick Fury looks and he sees her out of the cockpit of the actual airplane that they're in, or the aircraft, and he says, "What was that?" And it's her flying around. So she's able to fly through some of the Kree ships and actually just destroy them, straight up wreck them. So when Ronan and the actual accusers, they tried to launch all these warheads at Earth, and she stops the warhead, throws it back at the rest of the missiles, and they all blow up. And he looks at his like second in command and he says, he's like, what the hell happened? C-53 doesn't have a defense system that's advanced enough to be able to stop our warheads. And they look and they realize that she did it, that she was able to do it. This is showing how strong, how powerful she is. And just like that scene with the Supreme Intelligence, where she rips off that patch that's like restraining her power, that's keeping her from being able to use all of her complete strength. And she says, oh, this whole time I've been fighting with one hand behind her back. So at this point now, you created a character who's almost godlike. And with this much power, this much ability, who can do anything with her? This is the same problem that I think DC kind of has overall with the Superman character. Why? You created a character who's so strong, who can do so much stuff, who has so much ability, that nobody is an equal match. At no point in time do you feel like this character is ever really going to lose. So now, once again, how does this translate into Endgame? Now, they're all going to expect her to go and fight Thanos. Thanos, of course, is injured after using the gauntlet to do the snap. If Captain Marvel shows up and she just beats his ass and she's this strong and this powerful, it's going to kind of cheapen things a little bit. It's going to make it feel like, oh, that was the easy way out. Just Captain Marvel just shows up and now she can just do anything. So like I said, I enjoyed the character, but they made her so strong, maybe they should have powered her down just a little bit. But of course, time will tell. Endgame comes out next month and we'll find out how that all plays out. Okay, so overall, I'm going to say that I enjoyed this film, Captain Marvel. This movie is definitely a good addition to the MCU. It is a sci-fi action cosmic flick that definitely opens up the Marvel Cinematic Universe to tell more cosmic war and battle type stories that can take place on other worlds and out in space, almost the same exact way the Guardians of the Galaxy did. So also this movie is definitely a female empowerment, feminist type of film, but they do a very good job at having that theme casually inside the film where they're not beating you over the head with it with corny dialogue or corny scenes that are all about being a woman. It's natural. It flows without any type of, it doesn't pull you out of the movie when they're showing you that this female character is strong. They have several female characters in key roles doing legitimate things to make sure that the film moves forward. So I love the way they did that. And like I said, it's casually done in such a way where it's natural. So overall, I'm going to have to give this movie a score on the MindBender movie meter. I'm going to have to go with a score of 79%. Captain Marvel, 79%. You definitely want to check this film out. Okay, so this has been Emperor Cole Film Review for Captain Marvel. If you enjoyed this review, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure you check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/MindBender Entertainment. Make sure you check out the page there. Give it a like. Definitely make sure you follow us on Instagram at MindBender_entertainment. And of course, check us out on Twitter at MindBenderENT. So of course, we have more movie reviews. There's a short film called Happy Hour, written and directed by yours truly. That's definitely going to be posted on the YouTube channel in about another 2 to 3 weeks. So definitely check that out. And we have tons of content, top 10 lists for films, Marvel stuff, DC, you name it, it's there. So definitely check us out. And remember, the future